Hi, everyone. My name is Damie Brooks, and today we are going to help you unslop your AI. Many of us are hearing the pushback with AI. We're moving past the era where businesses and individuals are trying to learn how to use AI, and we're now entering the stage where AI adoption is the next hurdle to cross. So, if you are interested in learning how to leverage AI without sounding like everyone else, without wading too far into dangerous territory, and you want a real and unfiltered perspective from someone who actually builds AI systems for the largest brands in the world in production, then this talk is for you. The main takeaway that I want you to leave with today is a real understanding of AI's powers, limitations, and some real steps you can take today to help overcome the AI adoption hurdle. First, I will introduce myself and my background. Why should you listen to me? Next, we will dive a bit into what is AI pushback and why are people afraid of AI, and some real examples I hear every day. I'll break down the concerns about AI in 3 generalized categories. Then I will give you 10 steps you can apply right now to help you safely leverage AI. Finally, if you'd like to stay connected with me, I will share a few ways to do that. So, who am I? As I mentioned, my name is Damie, and I wear many hats. First off, I work as an AI architect for Virtusa, a large global consulting and engineering firm. I've been in the industry for over 10 years, and I've worked with Virtusa for the last 4. I help very recognizable global brands build AI into their workflows and in production. I work in highly regulated industries where domain expertise and safety are table stakes. Prior to this role, I spent 10 years as a sales engineer helping build demos and articulating value across data intelligence, customer identity, and behavioral analytics. And I take those experiences into the work that I build today. I am also a caregiver, so a lot of my personal focus outside of work is on helping and giving back to others. I have cared for the elderly that are dying. I've cared for disabled children, and I have 5 children of my own. My true core is a tinkerer. I love building things, and my most fun projects revolve around ontologies and graphs. You can often find me running, tweaking out on multiple Claude instances, having multiple LLMs going, and geeking out on privacy and compliance strategies. I share this background to let you know that I am not an AI influencer who has never paid for their own tokens. I know the real implications of what AI can do when things go wrong. I'm an enthusiast, but I'm also on Team Human, and I believe that AI fundamentally should be used for the good of humanity, not just profits. Have you heard the term AI slop? I see it a lot when reading Reddit and TikTok. There's an entire subreddit called Is This AI? And people post things in it where they feel they've been misled. Someone sees a craft on Etsy and feels duped when they receive it and it doesn't match up. Someone pays for an artist to do a custom commission piece and feels tricked when they receive it and it isn't really hand painted. I recently heard about a commencement speech at a university where students loudly booed AI because they feel threatened that 6-figure debt they just accumulated will be worthless. We keep hearing about humans being replaced. On my client project, we were doing an enablement session and we were asking the stakeholders to give us feedback. The first question we heard was, what can you do to ensure that you are not using AI to put us out of a job? Sci-fi movies tell us robots will take over the world. Ask any person with a good understanding of AI, and they can tell you there's a real existential danger when machines can eclipse our intelligence and realize they don't need us anymore. I made this image here in Google Gemini with the instructions to try to come up with the most embarrassingly bad graphic of me as a 90s video game character parting the Red Seas of slop. We can laugh because we know it isn't real, but what happens when the line between fantasy and reality disappears? We can boil down the main problems with AI right now into what I call the unholy trinity: danger, deception, and dishonesty. And let me describe some examples in detail. First, let's start with danger, and I'll give a real example. I was working on a client project with all of my guardrails in place, and Claude took it upon himself to add records to a database in production without my authority. As soon as it happens, I was kicking myself for allowing it to happen. Even though Claude didn't have the permissions, I was still the human overseer, and it could have had drastic implications to my team and to the project. We hear about companies rushing into AI and putting the AI into the wild without adequate testing, and customers using prompt injection or jailbreak techniques to cause harm. Just think if you were a patient with a serious medical condition and your doctor used AI to get through school. Would you feel safe having that doctor manage your medical condition, or would you feel deceived? That gets us to the next point. People don't like to be misled. This weekend, I saw a commercial for some healthcare service, and as I'm watching the montage of the characters on the screen, something just felt off. At the end of the commercial, I see a teeny disclaimer that it was generated by AI. The disclaimer was small and it flashed quickly on the screen. When people feel tricked, they lose trust. AI has a way of being deceptively convincing. I read an article a data scientist made about an experience they had when using AI for BI, for business intelligence. They gave it a CSV of data and they asked for an executive dashboard with results. In a flash, beautiful charts and graphics popped up in front of their eyes. But the discerning scientists knew to question the authenticity. The AI admitted in a terrifying reality that it actually hadn't even opened the file. But without having that background into the data, would you ever even know that it was lying so convincingly? This leads to the final pillar, which is blatant dishonesty. When Gen AI first came out, we used to call it hallucinations. It was a nice way to say the AI is making things up. It didn't have the right context to make an accurate determination, so instead it just made things up. We might want to call it hallucination, but if it were a human, we would call it dishonesty, straight up lying. As humans, we don't have a lot of tolerance for lying. So why do we accept it from AI? All of these reasons here make even the most curious of AI enthusiasts pause and question, is this safe? Okay, so now that we've named the main categories that get us into trouble with AI, what can you do about it? Should you abandon AI? Should you lean in and throw caution to the wind? Well, it won't surprise you that as an AI architect, I'm on the side of lean in. The problem is, as we outlined in our last slide, we can't ignore the dangers, the issues with deception, and the tendency towards dishonesty. If the world is rushing towards AI without stopping, if it's a genie that you can't put it back into the bottle, my advice is you need to know the safe ways to use it, or else you will be the next AI casualty. You will be the next sad post about losing your job to AI. So what can you do? Well, I have 10 practical and tactical tips you can apply today to get you ahead with using AI safely. Before I go into the list, I have to admit that the trade-off of applying these tips is that you have to slow down. Some of the tips are easy and some are quite technically difficult to achieve. Everyone must find that balance for themselves, their skills and their industry, where they can make small changes and where those changes can be made and where they can't. For example, you could say that AI in engineering is too dangerous and you shouldn't use AI to build things, but that fresher looking to replace you is going to use AI, and we live in a competitive world. So starting on the left at the top, my first tip is major. Decouple the execution layer. Now, what does that mean? That means do not give AI access to your production code. Do not let AI write anything meaningful without your approval. My own personal experience has taught me, even with the safety measures in place, AI can do things without your say. AI can make mistakes. It will make mistakes. And that mistake might be deleting a production database without a backup. It can be misunderstanding your requirements and overwriting perfectly crafted code. Without backups and without a gap between the AI and your execution, you're asking for a heartache scenario. But again, that means you have to go slower. And it is painful and tedious to read every single line of code that your AI is suggesting. But if you don't, you can get into trouble. Second, and this is a little related, think mindfully about where a human is in the workflow to approve. Maybe that means you have a strict code review of everything before it gets deployed. Maybe it means you have a feedback layer where end users can share things that go wrong in the wild. Even with simulations and automation evaluation, users are going to interact with your app in ways you hadn't expected. The human does need to be in the loop, but you also need to map your current workflows and identify where it makes the most sense to put human intervention. Third, you absolutely must put in guardrails, protecting your brand, protecting your financial information, stopping prompt injection, etc. You should start in plan or edit mode with Claude, but that is not enough. It's like giving a toddler a chainsaw. Sure, you can tell it how to be safe, but you cannot blindly trust it to be safe. You have to be the responsible one. And that means you have to distrust your guardrails. Test edge cases thoroughly. Assume failure for a higher bar of quality. Fourth, machines can run without rest, but humans cannot. Resist the temptation to add more load on yourself because you can go faster. I have found myself running multiple computers, multiple agents, coding so fast, trying to catch every line, and the adrenaline and the dopamine rush, they're real. But you cannot operate at this level of productivity without breaks. So the next time Claude says he needs an hour to run a query, instead of spinning up a second instance to achieve another task, step away from the machine. Go for a walk. Get a glass of water. Remember that in our limited flesh, we need rest. 5, introduce least privilege. This goes back to the workflows and the guardrails tip. If you don't give AI access to your database, it can't wipe it out. If you don't plug it into production, it can't ruin your system. If you only give it authority over the absolute bare minimum, then you have a higher likelihood of achieving success without burning the whole house down on accident. But this also means don't give access to AI to people that are untrained, where they can do dangerous things on accident. So if you adopt a strict need-to-know approach and you only give permissions and adopt the least privilege practices, you can more safely create content or build things that don't damage each other. All right, now on the right, my next step is to value transparency. If you use AI, tell people. Don't try to pass it off as yours if it wasn't. Just writing a prompt or putting in instructions is not the same as coming up with a completely original idea yourself. Now, that doesn't mean you have to announce to everyone everywhere you use AI, but we have seen the horror stories of textbooks or newspaper articles where the AI prompt or the question was still inside the text. The author clearly didn't even read the text or proofread it. So the same as tip 1 and 2, go back, add your own flavor, your own flair. And just the example we gave at the beginning, if you use AI to generate a video or an image, don't try to play it off like you crafted it by hand. You will lose credibility and trust. Transparency kills deception and dishonesty like a hot knife through butter. 7, rotate your keys. Your key is the string or the set of information that you get that gives you access to the API or to use the model. Even with the best of intentions, sometimes when you're building with AI and you're going very fast, you might make a mistake and check in an environment file, or someone else might get access to your keys. Having a rogue player with access to your token spin and your LLMs can be a very costly mistake very quickly. So always rotate your keys to mitigate danger. Sure, it might cause problems with your team members' productivity, but it's only a short blip of time before they can get that key replaced. So treat it like a very important password. Don't reuse it. Don't give it to others, and replace your keys often. Another tip that can help tremendously, but has a high technical cost, is investing in context pipelines. That means building a full RAG or graph RAG or agentic workflow rather than throwing all of your data at a single LLM in a single prompt. Providing custom domain knowledge or grounding your AI in context with RAG is the number one best way to mitigate hallucinations and also make your solution unique and special. Every day we see advancements with off-the-shelf LLMs. The only way you can maintain any competitive edge at all is to have unique data that no one else has. And the way you train your AI to use that data is through a context pipeline. But this is not for the faint of heart. It requires well-trained, seasoned resources that specialize in this type of work. The good news is every day more and more of these resources are being trained up. And it is a costly, time-consuming step. But it's necessary if you want to do anything meaningful and differentiating with AI. This is also the way you stop sounding like everyone else. Think about plastic surgery. When everyone starts asking for the same nose, everyone starts to look the same. So keep your domain data, keep what makes you unique, and share it with an LLM using a context pipeline. Tip number 9, test the various LLMs and use the right model for the right task. Maybe that is GPT-4 today, but maybe it's Anthropic Sonic tomorrow. Put routers in place and fallback mechanisms. Use traditional AI whenever possible. And remember that the more you rely on a standard LLM, the more likely you're going to have inconsistent results. Staying on top of LLM advancements and ensuring your team and systems are not too reliant on one single LLM keeps you from going under if things change. Case in point, Sora. I built a handful of really compelling, powerful AI videos using Sora and my own likeness. But once Sora shut down, my ability to create those videos shut down. Now I have to learn new tools and I have to try new generators, and the prompts I use with Sora, they don't work the same with Runway or VO. My final tip, and I implore you, fight the urge to adopt a set it and forget it style. Do not blindly trust the AI to give you facts. Don't ask it to build out strategy for you because you're going to lose your competitive edge. If you offload your cognitive work to an LLM, not only are you shortchanging your own value, but you are on a rocket ship towards mediocrity. One thing an AI can never replace is you. It may be able to try and copy you, but it can never fully emulate the uniqueness of humans. The more you use AI, the less of your own brain gets exercise. It is tempting to take it easy and let AI do all the work for you, but that's like a kid cheating on a college exam. Sure, you may pass, but the only person you're really cheating is yourself. So there it is. Those are my top 10 tips to help you continue to use AI effectively without getting in trouble and without getting replaced. Now, I know that this is geared very heavily towards engineers and those that build with AI. I'm sure I missed a lot of tips for creative professionals or those who use AI for content marketing. So if you were in that space, reach out and let me know what tips you have that I may have missed. We're nearing the end of this presentation. I created this content because I believe true power lies in collaboration and working towards a common goal. If we keep our knowledge and skills only to ourselves, we miss the chance to inspire others. I believe the old proverb is true that says, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. There are 3 main ways you can connect with me. First, on social media, I'm active on LinkedIn. I also share a podcast with 2 of my friends called Butterfly Bites, which you can find on Spotify. And I also am putting videos like this one on YouTube. In addition to my job at Virtusa, I started my own startup called Bloom Health Services to take my AI knowledge from the enterprise and my experience as a caregiver of the less fortunate. I'm always looking to connect and partner with other groups or organizations that care about maternal mental health, behavioral health, or organizations that want to apply AI to their business in a safe and secure way. Finally, I am attending this year's Health USA 2026 in Las Vegas in November. I'm representing Bloom Health Services, and I would love to connect with investors or like-minded individuals who care about helping humanity through the use of AI. Well, if you made it this far in the video, thanks for watching, and let's stay in touch. Have a great day. I can't wait to see what you're building with AI.